All right, buddy. Looks like we are live. Whoa, they're all in the comments. So I appreciate each and every one of you for hopping in here. Welcome in the latest episode of that SEC podcast. I'm your host, Michael Bratton. I go by SEC Mike on Twitter. And of course, joined as always by my cousin Shane, who goes by Big Orange Vols on Twitter. What's up, yo, Tennessee Homer?
Buddy, what's going on?
Oh, man, locked and loaded. I know it's basketball season, Shane, but we have still got SEC football covered for the fine folks that are piling in here. I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Tired, man. Tired as hell, and that's what happens when you lose an hour of sleep every year. They need to do away with this daylight savings time. I'm sick of it. Just leave it. This is perfect, Mike. When I came over, it's been a long time since we've done a podcast and there actually be light outside. So this is my favorite time, and I wish they'd just leave it. But other than that, I'm doing great. At least I'm not in the stands at that South Carolina game,
Yeah, so it's spring football in the air, Shane. We got spring updates. We got comments, updates from Mizzou, Arkansas, LSU, Alabama, Florida. Shane, we got it locked and loaded, but we got a couple things right off the top here before we get into all that. Don't forget, if you're coming down, again, we know this is a football show, but a lot of people travel down to Nashville for the upcoming SEC basketball tournament. Cousin Shane and I, we're going to be there on Friday at 6th and Peabody. It's a big old distillery. It's an old smoky distillery in Yeehaw Brewing, Shane, 2 blocks away from Bridgestone Arena where they hold the SEC basketball tournament. So come on down. Even if you're not going to the tournament, come hang out. You're in Nashville Friday, 7 p.m. Central Time. Come pound some beers with us. It's going to be a great time. You know what?
It's going to be awesome, man. I cannot wait. Can't get here soon enough, brother. They have all kinds of action there. Again, not a sponsor of the show, but it is a fantastic place. They got plenty of stuff to get into. You don't just have to hang out with me and Mike. If you want to hang out, I mean, it's almost like the size of a factory. I mean, it's unreal how big this place is. So come down, have some cold beers with us. Like Mike said, shoot the shit, talk about college football, talk about the show. Last time we were in Nashville and we had that get together, I still think about that. We had so many laughs, man. I tell you what, that I can remember. Now, I did get a little tipsy toward the end and maybe don't remember all the conversations, but it was awesome. So come out and see us.
Right. And Shane, I was trying to recap it for someone else about what we got ourselves into there, and my only regret, and maybe I amend it this time, Shane, but my only regret is not bringing a camcorder to record some of Cousin Shane, some of the interactions, particularly, and I don't even think you remember this, Shane, but we got very drunk. We had a designated driver. We were being responsible, but it was time to go, Shane. Our designated driver was in the parking lot for about 15 minutes, and I was trying to drag you away from a couple conversations, and you just downed a giant beer and said, "Go Vols!" and then jumped in the car and we were out of there. But I wish I had that on camera,
Oh, yeah, you're right. I don't remember that, buddy. I don't remember that. I do remember the next morning, though, and glad we took an extra day before we started talking to media because I needed that to kind of get my mind right. But we'll have another great time here. Got some family and friends already committed to being there, so be sure to come out and hang out with us. It'll be a good old time.
Yeah. All right, Shane. So, again, we got a bunch of camp updates. I'll get to that in just a second, but trying to involve as many different teams as we can on this episode. So I just wanted to throw something your way. I know you like just sitting back here and shooting the shit and not being prepared for things. And you don't have to be. I mean, this is just right off the hip, I didn't want you to have to think too much about this. But, I didn't realize it, Shane. I mean, I guess I should have. But since 2013, the only 3 teams that have won the Southeastern Conference, Shane, Georgia, Alabama, and LSU. So we are going on 10 years. No one else has won the conference tournament or conference championship. Excuse me. I got basketball on my mind again. No, in football, the last 10 years, Georgia, Alabama, LSU, those are the only teams that have won the SEC championship. Who's the next team that is not Georgia, Alabama, LSU moving forward that wins the SEC? I just thought it'd be a little fun conversation here.
Yeah, I like that, Mike. I like that. Now, you want me to say it, or you want me to? Are we going to work through these? Because I've got a couple, man. I'm telling you right now. It
You got to
seems
pick
like
one, though. You got to pick
I
one.
know.
So maybe throw out what's on your mind. We'll sit here and debate it, and then I think I can even probably talk you into one, talk you out of one. I'm kind of
Yeah.
curious where this will go.
Well, my first one is they're near and dear to my heart, man. Is MIZ right now, brother. I bought in last year. I got on the hype wagon, and it just feels like it's carried momentum over into this offseason. I love the scheduling. I love the way it sets up. Because you're talking about getting to an SEC championship, not getting to a college football playoff, not winning a natty. I'm talking about just the road to an SEC championship with the toughest games. As you can see on your screen, is A&M, Alabama, and Oklahoma, maybe. You know what I'm saying? And those bye
Right.
weeks are picture perfect. They're at the perfect time between some of these games. So this was my first reaction, was because it's going to come down, if you're going to make it to an SEC championship and win, it's going to be quarterback play. It's going to be on offense. Defense has got to be capable, but you got to have that ammunition on that side of the ball to put points on the board. And I just love what Mizzou's bringing back this season.
Shane, is it crazy to sit here and say that as long as Missouri, let's say they win every game they're favored in, they may only have to pull one upset the entire year, and that's at Alabama, October 26th. Now, I'm not saying they'll be favored at A&M. I don't know, because
Right.
I don't think anybody knows what A&M could be great this year. It could be a transition year, and then Oklahoma coming to town November 9th. You got 2 weeks to prepare. We can't overlook Auburn, October 19th, but that is in Columbia. But is it too bold to say that just one upset is all it's going to take for Missouri to potentially be that team that makes the SEC championship?
Yeah, that's it, man. And when you're looking at the team, that's again, it's not, I'm not saying Mizzou's the best team in the SEC. I want to be clear with that. I like just what they have as far as roster and what they have as far as scheduling. Scheduling's key. If you give Mizzou Florida's schedule, I'm not putting them in an SEC championship because they may stumble. I'm not saying they can't make it to a playoff, but saying they win, 11 games, 12 games, I don't know if that happens. I can't see that happening. But this is a team that doesn't have to play Texas. This is a team that doesn't have to play Georgia. This is a team that doesn't have to play Tennessee. Teams that can knock you off, they don't have to go against this season. And I think that's the key here with Missouri.
Are there any other teams that are on the top of your mind here, Shane?
Texas. I just think Texas, again, you want to talk about scheduling. I think they got it a little easy when they got over here to the SEC. You got a roster that's fully capable, but, I'm having trouble seeing Alabama on this schedule. I'm having trouble seeing LSU on this schedule. There's a lot of tough teams, again, that Texas will not have to face. And now you're looking at, okay, Georgia, even if you lose to Georgia, there's still a shot that you can make it to an SEC championship game. So I really like Texas here.
Ooh, them Longhorns, Shane. That is music to their ears. They're ready to come into this league, prove that they're worthy. I mean, this is, to me, I think this is the biggest storyline coming in to the 2024 season with Oklahoma and Texas coming in is Texas elite? They certainly think they are. They're not alone. A lot of people, I mean, they're going to be preseason top 5. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
Will they live up to the hype? It's anybody's guess, and that's what makes it so fun. But I think you're right, because let's say even if Texas drops a game or two, if you can beat Georgia October 19th in Austin, if you beat the defending national champions on the road, Shane,
Yeah.
those are the games that's going to punch your ticket to an SEC championship, to a college football playoff in this new 12-team era. You can drop a game or two, but if you have an impressive win or two that is unmatched, essentially, that's how you get into a playoff.
Oh man, and what a battle cry, man, to come into the SEC and make your way to an SEC championship. It's been a while. It's been since expansion, since we've seen something like that. So ironically, the other team I just mentioned. So consider that what you will. That's the two teams I've got floating around. There is a third one that's, like, I would say 2A if you will, and I think that's the one you're going to go with here.
Tennessee?
Ole Miss.
Oh,
No,
okay.
damn! You put too much pressure on Nico. He ain't even started yet. No, I think Ole Miss. Ole Miss getting a lot of hype in the offseason, and rightfully so. This is a hell of a squad they're bringing back. I love the quarter. I mean, again, it boils down to quarterback. You got a great offense. You got a lot of returning veterans. Little tougher road to get there, in my opinion. But again, this is a team that if you can beat an LSU or a Georgia, I think there's a good shot you're in that SEC championship game.
Yeah, I mean, if Ole Miss doesn't make it, I mean, I don't know if they ever will. Now, I guess I should amend that because it is a 12-team era, but I think the sky's the limit. I legitimately think Ole Miss, if they can take strides on defense, if Jackson Dart continues to progress, I think they can win a national championship. Shane.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that they are. I'm not guaranteeing it or anything, but they're probably in the top 5 favorites in the entire country. And then I'm not even considering the schedule, but then you take it a step further and you look at the schedule. You say, by God, I mean, we should 10-2, 11-1 with this bad boy. So there's nothing not to like aside from the fact that Ole Miss is going to be littered with, let's call it what it is, free agents. That's what Kiffin calls it. Yeah. But I think people that are looking at that and saying that could hold them back, I think that's misguided because that's all they know down there. I mean, they know it better than anybody how to filter in 30-plus transfers in a given year. So I think Lane Kiffin and company are well equipped to handle all the movement.
Absolutely. I think you're right on it. Now, again, not everybody's in that camp, but you're looking at the recipe to win an SEC championship. Those 3 teams have it. They all 3 got excellent quarterbacks. They all 3 got – I keep saying it over and over, but when you look at SEC championship games, that's usually what it comes down to is more, maybe not the most experienced roster, but the deepest roster, and all 3 of those teams got deep rosters.
How about Tennessee, though? I know it pains you not to throw them out there. You're trying not to go overboard with the hype, but we just saw them 2 years ago, Shane. 11 wins.
Yes.
Had they beaten South Carolina, they're in the college football playoff, and who knows? I mean, I don't think it's that bold to say they were the second best team in the entire country in Josh Heupel's second season. Georgia was dominant. I don't think they would have beaten Georgia had they rematched, but that game was in Athens, and Georgia dominated it. Let's call it what it is, but hell, Georgia dominated everybody that year. So
right.
I don't think that is quite the black mark that some people made it out to be, but last year was a setback, but you're bringing back a lot of veterans on this football team. A lot of I'm seeing a ton of home games here, Shane, and the away games fairly manageable outside of Georgia. I mean, I don't think it's completely unrealistic for Tennessee to go 3-1 in their true away games. And if they go 3-1, they're probably winning 10 or 11 games next year.
Yeah. Well, those that are new to the show, I'm terrible at betting, and I don't want to put any evil on Nico at this moment, Mike. So telling them that there's a chance they make an SEC championship and win it, that's the evil. So I love Tennessee's lot. Again, their schedule's very favorable, as you mentioned. You got Georgia. That's going to be a tough one. It's always going to be I can't argue that with any team that plays Georgia. But then you also got that tricky game in Oklahoma. There's going to be a lot of news. We got a young quarterback going to a hostile environment. What does that look like? There's some little landmines in Tennessee's schedule. Now, if this roster gels up quick, then there's no reason that the Volunteers cannot make a run or at least make a push for a college football playoff. But again, we're just talking about those little landmines going Tennessee's way. So that's why I've got them just a little bit lower than some of those other teams I mentioned.
So anyone else you want to mention before you throw down the gauntlet and pick just one?
I just picked them all. Do you want me to keep going? Here's why LSU can win the SEC.
All right, well, let me break it down like this, because here's where I'm really going to upset some folks, and that's solely what I'm going for here, Shane. We're going either or, okay? So I'm going to throw 2 at you, and you got to pick one that again, we're taking out Georgia, Alabama, and LSU just because no one's done it in the last decade aside from those three. More like first to win an SEC championship, Shane.
First to win.
Texas or Texas A&M?
Texas.
Oh,
A&M. A&M's had their shots right now, man. I mean, you know what I'm saying? They have been climbing that hill and falling down every single day. So now, again, we got a new coach, we got new staff, we got new possibilities, new dreams. But we've got a team that's coming in that just competed in a college football playoff. So I'd be nuts to bet against that right now.
Okay, well, I was just giving you an opportunity to be nuts, Shane. All right, how about this one? You'll see what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to get these people fired up, Shane.
Yeah.
Mizzou or Oklahoma?
Oh, this ain't hard. Mizzou, baby. Come on now. I love Oklahoma, don't get me wrong. But this, I think, you're talking about this year? Or is this like...
No, I'm just
like
saying.
the quick...
I'm just saying who will do it first. Missouri's football program. Oklahoma. You could sit here and say, yeah, they don't have the expectations and the hype maybe of Mizzou right now, but they have dominated. They didn't win the Big 12 last year, Shay, but and they didn't win it the year prior, but they won like 8 in a row before that. This is one of the proudest programs in all of college football. They have an incredible quarterback prospect. Their coach seems to have found his footing. Hell, they beat Texas last year, Shane. I mean, I think the sky's the limit coming into the SEC, getting more SEC athletes. I think they're going to have one of the better defenses in the SEC. You cannot completely overlook Oklahoma here.
Well, now that you worded it that way, Mike, I've got to reverse this back to Mizzou. And the only reason I'm doing that is because I do think that there's a real shot Mizzou and the momentum that they've picked up, brother. They got him another quarterback. Now, he may not be a starting stud. He's 38 years old, but again, he's a good backup that they weren't landing 5 years ago. So I think this next chapter of Mizzou is impressive. But Oklahoma, I mean, if Missouri doesn't get it in the next year or two, that's the thing for me. I think Oklahoma is the one that would go first. So I don't want to pick both of them because I'm going Mizzou first. But if we're going 3, 4, 5 years down the road, then I think there's a shot Oklahoma gets back in the mix.
Okay, how about this one, Shane? We'll just call this the Lane Kiffin Bowl. Ole Miss or Tennessee? Who wins an SEC title first?
Tennessee, man. Tennessee. That's crazy talk, Mike. I mean, there's a lot of people buying in the Ole Miss hype, and I'm trying not to. I really am. And part of me is like, what does this program look like 5 years from now? I mean, we just heard rumors about Lane Kiffin possibly going to Florida State, going to Auburn. I know he's secured now with Ole Miss, but will he be in 3 years? 4 years? Will he be able to continue these rosters that can compete with Georgia's and Alabama's? And I think it's possible, but I think that a program that does it more often than not is Tennessee. Yes, they haven't really been relevant since the early 2000s, but, this may be their year, or at least next year, So I think the Tennessee Vols are a little bit closer. Maybe not this season, but big picture, I think they're the ones that have the better shot winning an SEC first.
Okay, one more for you, Shane. And I went a little curveball here because I just think these two have the potential. Auburn or Texas A&M?
That's a good one, but I'm going to go Texas A&M. I think we're talking SEC championships, so you're starting to think of maybe some of these rivalries that you may have to meet, and Auburn's got a doozy. I mean, they're probably going to pick up. Alabama, of course. They're probably going to pick up Georgia, maybe even Florida. I don't know, but it's going to be a tough road for them moving forward. They will have good programs, but I just think Texas A&M, even though I kind of said I told you Texas has a better shot, it's not by much, man. If Elko comes in here and protects the borders, just the borders of Texas. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And becomes relevant again, and makes A&M an exciting place to play, and proves that they belong at the top echelon of the SEC. This is a program that has the means with NIL, transfer portal, all that to compete for national championships every year. So give me A&M here.
I like that pick, Shane. I like it. But I think this year will tell us a lot. If
Yeah.
Hugh Freeze and company at Auburn take a big jump, we may be flipping that prediction, don't you think?
Yeah, this all hinges on Freeze, and maybe why I hesitate on this question because of the way the season ended last year.
Hey, shout out Cousin Anthony. He just gave us $20 for the beer I
Cuzzo.
promised. So there we go. Appreciate you, Cousin Anthony. But all right, Shade. So we got some spring football to get into here. And before we get to the clips, I thought this was pretty noteworthy, and hopefully for Mizzou fans, this guy doesn't have to take any significant snaps, but you'd rather have insurance than not, Shane.
Can I ask you a question before we
Yes,
move
sir.
on?
Okay.
Alabama and LSU, out of those two teams, if you had to pick wins an SEC championship first, which one you going?
LSU.
LSU. Oh man, you hate
because-
them. You hate them, don't you?
Because I think Brian Kelly, I don't think he's going to surrender. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Till he wins big at LSU. And somehow, some way, Shane, I mean, they have looked like garbage at times the last 2 years. They still won 20 football games. Like, I don't know how he seems like he's a wizard. Now,
Yeah.
can he get him over that hill? I don't know. Remains to be seen. But I love the fact that he blew up his coaching staff despite winning 10 games last year, like I said. And then, I mean, I don't think they'll do it next year. I'm a little down on LSU, quite frankly. But I think the future is bright. So give me LSU. And I just – Alabama's got the pieces. I think they got the right
Yep.
– you may change your mind on Kalen DeBoer after a couple clips I got prepped up for him here.
Okay. All right. Win me back over, Mike, even though you just buried him.
No, I'm saying you might come to my side. Once you hear this guy
okay.
talk. Okay.
Oh, no.
But before we get to that, Shane, Mizzou picked up a nice little insurance piece here. Former Arizona State and Notre Dame quarterback Drew Pine has committed as a transfer. He's eligible immediately. He's got 3 years of eligibility to play. He was 8-2 as a starting quarterback at Notre Dame and 4-1, Shane, against top 25 competition. Now, we love Brady Cook. He's one of the best in the SEC, one of the best in the country. But with Sam Horn getting banged up, we had to have some kind of insurance here. So I credit Mizzou and their coaching staff for being able to identify someone that has experience, that, God forbid, something happens to Brady, we're not playing a true freshman or a walk-on or something like that. We got a guy that's got quality reps in college, major college football. So this is a nice little pickup here, I thought.
No, this is a good fit, good pick. Caught me off guard. Didn't see it coming. Here's a guy. He's born 1987, 88, something like that. Older guy and seasoned guy. I think that's important too because there was a couple of games last year that he got banged up, and you were wondering, what does it look like now? Because once he got the reins, we never thought about the backup again. But I think it's very important in the SEC to always have that guy, especially with a mobile quarterback.
Right. Hey, shout out to Cousin Rick. He's a big Aggie. Shane just gave us $20. Aggie current players have gotten faster, stronger under Tommy Moffitt. So, I mean, I think that's something that went to hell under Jimbo. I really do, is the strength and conditioning. And that is something that, everybody makes a point. It's the running joke. This new strength coach is the best one we ever had. But my goodness, Shane, this guy Tommy Moffitt's been at LSU for 20-plus years. He was there for 3 national championships. So I think having him on board in College Station, I think it's it's not your typical strength and conditioning coach where we just get fired up for no reason, just because we're finding a new way to lift weights. This is a guy that knows how to build a championship team. So, and that is something I think has been really missing in College Station.
Thank you, Cousin Rick. Yeah, and I think that's important too because LSU has produced some big, bad, ugly dudes. You know what I'm saying? And now
Right.
you got them there at College Station. I think that's one of the biggest. You know, they are. That strength and conditioning coach is so important, especially during the spring, you know, especially in the off season, you know, leading up to fall. It's all this work that gets done in the summer with these guys is what leads to less injuries. And Moffitt's just one of those guys, got a proven track record, so they're very lucky to have him.
Right. All right, Shane. So let's kick it on down next to Fayetteville, where hey, there are several practices into spring football already, and go check it out if you haven't checked it out already. Trey Biddy, Hog Sports, was on the show. We put that out on Friday evening, but early indications, Shane, the transfer from Boise State, Taylon Green, you know, and not just Trey Biddy, but other people down there in the Arkansas media says, hey, this looks like our starting quarterback. And it's Bobby Petrino's handpicked guy here. So things are trending in the right direction, I would say, for the Arkansas Razorbacks under Bobby Petrino, getting that offense to go from god-awful Dan Enos to Bobby Petrino, just getting us at least competent would be a huge step in the right direction. So want to bring notice on that. But if you missed it, Shane, I should have. I meant to grab this video and I didn't get it. But did you see Barry Odom, Shane, on riding the bull?
No.
So
No.
former defensive coordinator, now he's head coach down there at UNLV. He wrote a bill. He didn't last very long. He lasted about 3 seconds, but it's 3 seconds longer than I could have done, Shane. So here's Sam Pittman. He was asked about it. Would you ever ride a bull? Here's Sam Pittman's response here.
Have you ever considered bull riding to raise money?
I'll tell you right now, I didn't know it happened. You know, I'm off of the social media, and it's a good and a bad deal. You know, the bad is you don't know nothing, you know. And so Monday morning, somebody said, do you know Barry rode a bull? I said, no, he didn't, you know. And they said, look at it. And so he about got knocked out. So I texted him, and I said, what the hell are you doing? He said it's 150K rides, you know. I said, dang. You know, and of course I got on Twitter, now I'm supposed to ride a hog or whatever, you know, all that kind of stuff. But it was insane. I said, did you have any training? He said, well, no, they told me how to hold my hand and all that. I said, bro, there's got to be a better way than raising 150K. But that's Barry. I mean, he's tougher than hell. He always been that way, and I'm just glad that he didn't get hurt.
All right, Shane. So for $150,000 for charity, would you ride a bull? I'm curious.
Shit, they had to put the thing down when I got done with it. My luck, I'd get out there and Bodacious should show up, you know. So some infamous bull that's killed people. So no, there is no way. Short story, Mike. We were younger, me and my brother, the Flying Hawaiian. We were riding bikes to this little area called the Point, Terry Point. And back in the day, there was no developments, house developments. It was all farms. So we're riding bikes. And I'll never forget, there was this big old bull over there in the side, and he had this big brass ring, you know. And we're riding the bike. Of course, me and my brother, we're just trying to get him fired up. And he's kicking up, you know. And he got so fired up. I was like, you know what, John, let's get out of here. You know, we got freaked out about the bull. So we drove, and then we realized my mom was walking. I turned around. She got her Walkman on. She has no idea that this bull is about to kill her. And we're just yelling. We're yelling, hey, look over here on the side. So finally she saw it. She got to going, you know. Well, we got on the other side. All three of us, none of us wanted to go back by it. You know what I'm saying? Because this is a mean old bull. And we finally got a ride from a truck. They put us in there. We made it back. But after that, man, I was kind of scarred from just cows in general. I know it sounds crazy, so I probably won't get near that big ass steer in Texas. But I'm like, man, because if they really want to hurt you, they can. You know, it don't matter how big you are. All right, that's my little cow story there.
Yeah, well, hey, I may have even found a transition from that, Shane. But hold on, real quick, cousin Bo, them Vols are next, and everybody's got a deal with the Go Big
That's
Orange.
right.
He gave
Go
us
Vols,
$5.
baby.
Appreciate you, bro. But Shane, so I'm not sure how to transition from that. But you said you were trying to get your mom's attention. We don't have to do that in college football anymore, according to all these coaches and Sam Pittman, who talks about it here. We're going to the helmet communication. No more sign stealing. Let's kick it over to Sam Pittman one more time.
I don't know if this is accurate or not, but I read on the internet that next month there's going to be a vote on whether or not to allow in-helmet communication.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to get your reaction if that passes, what it would be like to have Coach Petrino to be able to talk directly to quarterbacks.
Yeah, I think I'll be honest with you, Mike. I think they're going to pass it. I think that's more closer to passing than, well, I'm pretty sure they're going to pass it. And yeah, I think so. I think the advantage is if you have a calm, cool, collected, guy talking to. Well, here's your advantage on offense. You could huddle, and you wouldn't have to – nobody'd steal your signals because you got a guy talking directly. Now, if you don't, then you're going to have to – it might not change a whole lot except for that calm, that, hey, look for this, look for that, So it's going to start with 40 seconds. Your communication will start when the 40-second clock starts. And then at 15 or whatever becomes – like if you snap the ball at 20, then it goes off. But at 15, it goes off. It's basically what they're doing in the National Football League. You'll get one there, and you'll get one on defense too. There'll be a little, I think it's a green light on the helmet of the guy that has it on. But it's going to pass, along with tablets on the sideline and things of that nature. High school's been doing it for a long time, and live video on the sideline that'll pass.
All right, Shane. So I think this is big. Michigan will never win another national championship with their damn sign stealing. But no, I kid. But I think this is the right thing to do, Shane. I think it'll make the game quicker. And again, we don't have to deal with any of this sign stealing. Why did we lose this game? Why did we lose that game? And I mean, it is kind of fun to have those guys over there dancing, doing their signals and all that. But I mean, that's a bunch of garbage we don't need.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad they've retired Alvin, Simon, and Theodore there. It's as fun as the color coordinating and the funny signs have been. It's like he just said, the freaking high schoolers are doing it. There's no reason the college shouldn't have been doing it. So this is great. This is great for young developing quarterbacks too. I think that's one thing that they're not mentioning, because we've got a lot of new guys in the SEC this year, and having your OC in your ear, kind of helping you out, helping you navigate, especially in those earlier games, I think is a pivotal piece. So, that's one thing I expect to see from the SEC is a little bit more proficient offense as opposed to the defense being so. It felt like the defense has always got a head start at the start of the season. It feels like this may catch up the offense a little bit.
The only thing we'll have to worry about, Shane, remember, and these are just allegations, but you just never know with them Patriots. But they were listening in on the calls in their stadium whenever other people were making them. So we'll just have to verify that that Michigan didn't install any secret listening devices inside these stadiums. You know what?
Well, I mean, honestly, Mike, I was talking about getting one of them Ninja foodie things, them air fryers, and then it's in my feed later in Facebook. So I would imagine if Facebook can figure out what I'm doing, somebody's going to tap into these things too. But no, I again, this is a good move, a great move. There's a lot of shitty moves that they make in the offseason. This one by far is going to be my favorite one.
Yeah. All right, Shane. Well, let's move on next to Baton Rouge, where something we've talked a lot about. New offense in Brian Kelly's program there, with obviously a new quarterback, Garrett Nussmeier, new receivers, new offensive coordinator. I mean, a lot of change this offseason down there on the Bayou. So here's Brian Kelly talking about how much will the offense change given all the new pieces at such critical positions here for the Tigers.
You talked about finding that identity on offense with a new quarterback. Does the style of play change that drastically? And how much of this spring is kind of learning what these guys can do so that you could then build the offense around what they can do?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, each year you're always going to build it around, players, not plays. So there's each year is going to have a little bit of a change. This is still going to be, about finding the best playmakers and getting them the ball like it was last year. And Jaden is a different, Garrett is a different quarterback than Jaden. So, we'll look to do things that highlight him. So the nuances within the offense, in terms of attacking, pushing the ball down the field, having balance between the run and the pass, that's not going to change. But the players involved, we have to be able to highlight what they're good at and what their strengths are, and that's where you'll see some changes.
Now, Shane, one thing I really wanted to ask you, because, again, LSU's got a unique schedule this year with all this transition, and you heard it from Coach Kelly. I mean, it's going to be the players. We're not rebooting the entire system, but playing into their strengths. And I know Southern Cal, their defense is garbage, so maybe this is a bad example. But, it's a tricky schedule because it's away from home. It's in Las Vegas. It's going to be another Sunday night affair, I believe, nationally televised, of course. And then week 3, these are the type of games, Shane, that everybody overlooks in the offseason, says, well, hell, LSU's going to beat the hell out of South Carolina. Well, are they? What if it's a night game? What if it's that black magic they call it down there in Columbia? What if South Carolina's a lot better than we think they will be? I mean, that is a game, as Brian Kelly, you cannot afford to lose. And then you come back and it's UCLA. Again, I don't know how good UCLA is going to be. These could be cupcakes. These could be easy wins. But it's a tricky schedule given the transition on both sides of the ball. Really, new coordinators for both sides of the ball for the LSU Tigers. But does the schedule, given the transition, does that make you at all hesitant about LSU heading into 2024?
It does, Mike. And I think, for me personally, and maybe just fans in general, you think about the 2 successful seasons that they've had down there and the losses to start the season. Because a lot of people didn't watch. If you're not an LSU fan and you're not playing LSU, they may not have seen you. But everybody watched that Florida State game this year and last year, So I think that gives me the little bit of hesitancy when you see a USC. It's a team we know they should beat. We knew they should have beat Florida State. That you see a team, like you said, UCLA, a team that you should win. Right. But again, it's that sluggish start that they typically, or they have had at the start of these seasons. So I'm just a little bit hesitant, but I'm not going crazy because Vegas is coming out here telling you, hey, they're going to win 9.5 games, so, or at least maybe 10. So part of me is like, yeah, maybe I'm overthinking this a little.
Yeah. And then one more from Brian Kelly, because, this was obviously such a talking point last offseason. They're sticking with it, Shane. Harold Perkins, they're taking him off the ball, playing him at weak side linebacker. What's the logic there? Because I think we could all agree, Harold Perkins disappointed last year a little bit. Is that his fault? Is it the coaching staff? I don't know, but let's kick it over to Brian Kelly, what their plans are for Harold Perkins, one of the more dynamic players in all the country, next season.
I hate this hat.
Yeah, Brian, Harold Perkins Jr. really struggled last year at middle linebacker. You decided to try this again. The thought process behind that, was it your decision, Harold's wish? Was it you think Blake Baker could come up with something different for him? Just the reason to try it again.
Yeah, well, the defensive structure is different. So I think you start there. You've got a new voice. Blake is coaching the linebacker, so you have a new voice. That's different. That's the second. And then I think collectively, Harold, myself, and Blake felt like, in all instances, this is a place that is going to maximize his potential. And we certainly could keep him out at the star Sam linebacker position, but I think he can impact the defense in so many ways at the will linebacker position. And it's not just playing counter. It's not just, filling the backside, A-gap on runaway. This is the ability to, get into different looks with him, and utilizing his ability to be a multi-dimensional player. You know, he was to the field and you knew where he was. You knew you fanned to the field. You're going to get an extra hat to him. You could game plan to Harold Perkins. And this makes it much more difficult. And he knows the clock's ticking. There's a sense of urgency. And so I think you see a committed player, a new voice in Blake, and I believe it's his best opportunity to make that next step.
Well, I'll tell you what, Shane, he better be right because, man, what a letdown last year was. And I don't know the 100% the specifics, Shane. I've heard some people say, you know, this is Harold Perkins that's saying, hey, I don't want to be on the line of scrimmage because if I'm going to make it, he's only, I think he's 210 pounds, Shane. He's not going to play on the line of scrimmage in the NFL at 210 pounds. So I don't know if that's it, but when you have one of the most dynamic, I mean, there was people, Shane, saying this guy could be a Heisman Trophy winner, you know, and he was a non-factor for many key games. And I think Brian Kelly and company, you know, this could be one of those situations where a guy goes to the NFL and he's elite, kind of like Alvin Kamara, and we're sitting there saying, what the hell were they thinking in college with this guy? I mean, that'll be a mark on him, and I'm just saying they better get the most out of him as they transition to this new defense.
Yeah, I mean, you're hoping. I mean, you would feel like it would have built off that last year or the year before last, but it didn't. It took a major step back, and it just seems like just throughout the season they didn't have anything they could get done with, and because he was a dominant force when used right, and he was a guy that the team feared and had to game plan around. But you're gonna have him bouncing around now, so I think when he talks, the clock is ticking. It makes me wonder if it didn't have something to do with him. Like sometimes when you're told you're good, you know, there's that natural let off the gas, don't need to train as hard, don't need to study as hard. And I'm not saying that's what happened with Perkins, but to play at that next level, you can never take your foot off the gas. And I think maybe this season's more of a redemption season personally for him as well. So I expect big things out of him.
Yeah, Bo says he looks like a softball manager. Not a fan of the white hat and whistle combo there from Coach Kelly. Are you?
No, and for the listeners, it's got an L. You know, like you could condense a lot of schools down to one letter. Don't do LSU because that's just a meme waiting to happen.
And Mike Free says Cousin Shane has a perfectly round head. Props to you, Cousin Shane.
Hey, thank you. I was worried, you know, when I did it, you know, when I finally decided to shave the thing, I was like, you know, some people just don't have it. I've seen some bald people and it's like little valleys and stuff, and I'm like, oh man, I hope that's not what mine is. So it's not completely perfect. Got a little hot dog in the back, but yeah, I think I'm managing well. Thank you. I appreciate the kind words.
All right, so let's kick it on down to Tuscaloosa next, where they have begun spring practice for the first time, of course, under Caleb DeBoer. No more Nick Saban, Shane, and you can tell these media boys, they do not fear old Caleb DeBoer like they did Nick Saban, but got some comments here. I try not to overreact to anything said in a press conference, Shane, but when I heard this stuff from Caleb DeBoer, you know, some people are calling him Potato Harsin here. I kind of got those vibes. Right? That's all I'm saying. I will play the clip here.
You talked in your opening about the championship habits and then recently about the maxims. Are those the same thing, or kind of what are some of the pillars that you like to build your programs on?
Yeah, it is. It's we have the maxims that refer to them, and number one is winners win because that's what winners do. And winning, I know that's a results-oriented kind of piece to it, but what we really focus on is what the winners do, and the winners in our program have an attention to detail. You know, they compete, and we go on and on. We have a list of those things. The habits they create each and every day will lead to the winning aspect, and we're never going to shy away from that being really important here at Alabama. The second one is first be your best, and then you'll be first. And you know, in there it's be your best. And when you just bring your best energy, attitude, and effort every day, and that's the number one thing and the only thing we really ask of our guys, and the rest takes care of itself. When we do that, good things are going to happen, especially when you have the talent, when you have the coaching and the skill by the players that are within this program. Good things are going to happen. And in order to be your best, you have to have the relentless pursuit of continuous improvement that I referred to.
All right, Shane. So winners win. I mean, what a revelation.
DeBoer. Oh, Nick, you nailed it. DeBoer. Oh, man. That was the one. Again, I feel bad for criticizing coaches with this coach speak because sometimes, clearly they're holding back in the locker room. Billy Napier's like prime example, but part of me is like, golly, this is going to be a tough one because he's not going to give us anything. At least Nick would sometimes, get a little, he'd give you a little something and tell you how he truly feels. This one, we're just going to get a book full of mottos. So,
and I think Rick summed it up well, Shane. This is basically where I was going with this. Add another loss to Bama after listening. But he was asked, he did talk a little bit more serious. He was asked about Jalen Milroe, who a lot of people have obviously pointed out, very different quarterback than Michael Penix. So how will he perform in this offense? My dog don't like it, but they were spotted at the basketball game. How's that going to work out? Is Jalen Milroe automatically quarterback one? Here's Kalen DeBoer on that.
Coach kind of touched on that. You talk about depth chart and different stuff. Obviously, I'm not asking for a depth chart, but do you have players? I mean, you sat next to Jalen Milroe at the basketball game. Is that your guy going into it, or do you clean slate every year with every position?
Yeah, I mean, you want competition, right? And so the competition is always going to be there. And, yeah, someone had to take the first reps today, with the ones when we lined up and we referred to him as that, and Jalen did, So, he's putting everything into it he can, along with the other guys that took those first reps. But I fully expect those guys that are really hungry to be pushing those guys that are ahead of them to be their best. And that's what you want in a football program. And that's certainly going to be the case here with so many good football players here wanting to get on the football field.
Yeah, I think that's obviously what you got to say, though, right, Shane? I mean, I know Jalen Milroe killed it at the end of the last year. I think he's one of the better quarterbacks in the entire country. But you're taking over a new program, you don't give anybody anything. I think that's the only approach to go.
Well, and sometimes it's the best approach too. A clean slate. Sometimes, I mean, clearly what happened last year worked to a certain extent, but there was a lot of times it didn't, and it felt like we were just trying to force that square peg in the round hole, But now you got a new regime coming in, a new outlook, and they can really, from top to bottom, dissect what Alabama truly has, and not just go off, 24/7 ranks here. So right. I'm shitting on DeBoer and his coach speak, but I'm not on the university. They're going to be fine. And this is, I think, one of the best hires, if not the best hire they could have made out there. And we'll have plenty to talk if they keep winning. But by God, if they lose, we're going to remind you how boring he is at the press conference.
Well, speaking of boring, Shane, saved the best for the last year. We got Billy Napier. But, hey, I'm not going to bury Billy right now because he seems to got a little glint in his eye, Shane. I think he's fired up, and I got a little nugget here I'm going to play or shoot it your way after Billy Napier. He seems like this is the year, Shane. Let's kick it over to Billy Napier as they open spring in Gainesville.
Okay, I'm going to tell you what, we've got a hungry group. We got a group that's got something to prove. When you really take a good look at things, this is the most experienced group that we've had. I think as a coach, as an organization, we want to try to build a veteran team. And I would say that we have that. I think we've got young men who are credible, that have a voice. I think the leadership on this team is the best it's been. There's character, there's accountability. We've got a group that's living life the right way. Their actions match up with their words, right? And I think we've got the right combination of veteran leadership and young talent. It's the best February that we've had since we've been here, right? So a ton of momentum headed in today, and I think we saw that a little bit today. Good day, good first day. It's good to be back practicing football. So overall, what I would say is I'm impressed with the leadership and accountability. Got a good group of veterans and very talented group of rookies. What question?
All right, Shade. So, hey, the sky's the limit, right? I mean, we got experience. We got talent. This is a hungry team. We got everything here. And I do like the fact, no excuses. We're not, my God, have you seen this schedule? We're not doing any of that. And shout out our good buddy, Zach Goodall, made his Feinbaum debut the other day. Shane, he put this out the other day. Florida's got 86 scholarship players. Only 15 of those are Dan Mullen signees. So 71 are Billy Napier guys. Point being, if they succeed, this is Napier's roster. If they fail, this is Napier's roster for basically the first time. There's no excuses basically, and based on what Billy Napier just said himself, I don't think there's excuses either. So,
Right.
I think this is the only attitude that you can have. Of course, again, I'll throw up the schedule here, but I think they could get some wins early on, but they simply have to, because if they don't, the end of the schedule is just a damn murderer's row here.
Yeah. And again, I think that's the way you got to go at it, that the world's against you. You got that locker room, and the fact that he's got that veteran presence, and the fact that he's coming out saying, hey, we got some dudes in this locker room that are taking accountability. Because if you remember, that's part of the problem we've had 2 years ago. We had guys not on the team that started the season. So you're not seeing that now, and I like that, man. I know people are shitting on the Florida Gators because they see the schedule, but man, they got a dude. They got a quarterback. They got some playmakers. They've got, at the defense, if we get some sort of life from the defense, which they have been very aggressive in coaching on that side, maybe Florida can surprise some people. But when they do, they're going to look down on everybody because every single one of us had doubted them. So maybe that's what they need, just the us against the world mentality.
Yeah, shout out Cousin Jared. He gave us $5. Shane says, yeah, they got character holding their head in their hands saying, incredible. So
incredible. Thank you, Jared.
But, hey, we doubted Graham Mertz this time last year, right? And maybe there's something to what Billy's saying here where, everybody's counting us out. They think I'm a dead man walking. We got this incredible schedule. We can't make a bowl game. If Graham Mertz is real, and that is another thing I didn't play because it's 30 minutes of Billy basically saying all this over and over and over. But one thing he harped on repeatedly was they got a ton of confidence in Graham Mertz. He's a leader. He's the driving force. He came back for a reason. He wanted to go out a winner, all this, yada, yada, yada. But there could be something to that, Shane. I always look at year 2 with these quarterbacks. Last year, Jane Daniels was not a Heisman candidate for most people. He freaking won the thing, It's this year 2. Hendon Hooker just had a huge year. On and on and on. These guys, year 2, it could be Graham Mertz that is the breakout star in the SEC. And I don't know. I'm putting the pieces together to where I really do think Florida is probably the most underrated team in the entire SEC.
Maybe you're right, Mike. You may be right. Because if it goes wrong, we're all going to blame that coach is in a bad place. Because if it goes wrong, we're blaming Billy. But if Florida defies the odds and is looking at an 8, 9, 10 win season, I don't think they're giving Billy the credit. They're giving Mertz the credit because he's the guy that's vaunted this team to the level that they can play. So, I joked earlier about like Missouri. And if Florida had Missouri's schedule, I think there is 8 wins, maybe 9. You know what I'm saying? Catch some. And then all of a sudden we're looking at, hey, we should give Billy an extension. They're moving in the right direction. Look what this roster looks like when it's his guys. So, I think Florida has an opportunity, but it's immediate. It's as early as week 1, Mike. You lose to Miami, we're burying you. Everyone is going to just pile on you, and just you think it's the pressure's on now. Lose the first game, it's over. It's over.
Yeah, well, that's not just for Billy. That's about half a damn SEC. Shay, you lose that
Yeah.
first game, we're out
By
on you. You
God.
suck. You're
Yeah.
terrible. You know, get the hell out of here. But yeah, even more so.
Firebilly.com. I'm sure that's out there.
All right, buddy. Well, hey, that's all the clips, the news, and everything I got around the SEC. You got anything else before we hop off the line?
No, again, I hope anybody that's coming down, you don't have to watch the tournament. You know, we're not going to be in Bridgestone. You
Right.
know, we're going to be down there drinking cold beer for half off. And
They'll have it on TV down there too. You know.
exactly. They'll have all kinds of TVs going on. So be sure to come down and hang out with us. I just think we're going to have a great time. I'm looking forward to it. And, spring ball's coming up. I mean, we've got practice. We've got real coach speak here. We're going to have some play. I'm starting to see these guys. I'm buying in, Mike. You know, I see the quarterbacks down there in Florida. I'm like, oh man, maybe we were wrong, you know? And then you go over and I'm looking at the Arkansas offensive line. I'm like, holy cow, they finally got an offensive line. What can happen here? So I just love it. Be sure to, if you're not on the YouTube, subscribe, hit that notification mark, because when we got something, we're going to send it to you immediately.
Right. And hey, Shane, right before we jump off here, shout out to cousin Wesley. He gave us $5. You pay us, we'll answer any question you got here. Which coach in the SEC is the most annoying? And that's, we got a couple candidates to pick from, Shane, but I'm trying to think. I mean, I guess it all depends on, I wonder if he's saying, who do we think is the most annoying? Who do the fans think is most annoying? Because kind of two jump out to me immediately. And I like both these guys, but I can certainly see why people would see them as annoying. And
Can I guess? Can I
Yes,
guess who
yes,
you're
sir.
thinking of? So the one that you think most fans find annoying. Okay.
Correct.
Do you have that name in your head?
I have two.
Oh, okay. Well, I know one
think they're
for sure.
I think they're slam dunk.
Oh, well, no, I got it.
Their fans love them, but the rest of the SEC hates them.
All right. Does the first one rhyme with Deemer?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And does the other one rhyme with Winkwurst?
Yeah, those are the two. I think those are the obvious answers. And again, I love it, Shane, because they're passionate. They tell it like it is, and
Yeah.
they take shots. I wish all 16 coaches were like it. Give me
Yeah.
16 like this, and do. I hope every Napier guy I could do without guys like that.
No, I love it. I love it because Beamer comes out here, like you said, he tells you how he feels. You got Drink standing on business, I keep seeing that video and it's freaking March, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, absolutely. Those two, if you're not a fan of the coaches, you hate them. So
Right.
Now-
any other are annoying to you?
now annoying to me, I hate coach speak. So Billy, he gave us a little bit there, but still he's toward the top of my list. DeBoer just kind of went up a few notches himself. So, but I'm leaning a little.
Is Kiffin annoying at all? I'm seeing a lot of Kiffin in the comments. I don't see how you see how he's annoying. He's an oddball, but he's as likely to make fun of himself than he is anybody else.
Yeah, I think that's the thing is. At least he has a little bit of a personality. I guess
Right.
Him personally, I'm not a fan of, because of what he did to the University of Tennessee. I don't want to drudge that up, but that was not good. And, and some of the stuff the little stabs online, I can get how you don't like him, but as far as just annoying, I don't know. We've got a pretty good group this year, Mike.
Yeah, it's going to make for one epic SEC Media Days, I'll tell you that. So, I think those are the only two or three you can really throw into the annoying conversation. I really do think.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm having trouble picking anybody else right now.
Yeah. Now, month into next season, we'll have plenty of reasons. We'll have plenty. You know what?
Yeah, let's get a little more film here, and then we'll revisit this. So, or my favorite is when you lose a game, and the true colors, because you're hearing a lot of this coach talk, now, but after the shit hits the fan, it's like you see a different side, and you're like, okay, there he is. There's that bastard.
All right, Shade, I appreciate you. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out, especially those on the live show. We'll catch you on the next one.